All right, Shalom Israel. I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. As you all know, Yahweh, or as you should know, Yahweh is who the world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is his son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, and there's no God beside him. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, or Great Millstone, and salutations to the elect. And this is just going to be a few words on the second assassination attempt of former president of the USA, Donald J. Trump, which had happened this past Sunday. And when you look at it, what's been surrounding these past few months, the most prominent would be the Trump attempt assassinations. And then in lieu of that, you had various school shootings, right? Well, my take is that, which, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but for those who don't know, they will come down strictly as they feel like they will have to with all this gun violence that's happening. As you see, this is gun control 2024 election. So this is something that's being spoken about amongst the candidates. I've also noticed, what came to mind is you had two red states. The first attempt on DJ Trump was over there in Pennsylvania, a red state. The second attempt was in Florida, another red state. So it makes sense that his attempts were set up all in cahoots to take away your guns. We know this devil, we should know how this man works in problem, reaction, solution scenarios, to wherein the problem is already set up for the people to react, and then there comes a solution. All right, and as you see, there's a few articles going into gun ownership, and I want to jump into this one on the 19th News. This is a policy cheat sheet where Trump and Harris stand on these 6 issues. So it goes into abortion. I mean, you could read it, obviously. All right. So it gives the topic and what each candidate stands on it. So now let's jump down to gun control. It says, Vice President Kamala Harris has made the freedom to live safe from gun violence a key part of her presidential campaign. As the head of the first White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, Harris has spearheaded the current administration's work on gun safety, including the passage of the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the most substantive piece of federal gun safety legislation in over 30 years. It included record funding for school-based mental health services. The Biden-Harris administration also issued an executive action to close the gun show loophole, in which people who know they cannot pass a background check turn to unlicensed sellers, and worked to further regulate gun dealers and tighten background check requirements. This spring, Harris announced the launch of a national extreme risk protection program, Protection Order Resource Center. And mind you, these words matter. These devils know very well that words matter. And I find it alarming that they use extreme, use the words like extreme protection order, all right, in lieu of taking away your guns, the American Second Amendment. And mind you, according to Revelation 13 verse 11, it speaks on how he's going to come down. So it says Revelation 13 and 11, Revelation 12 and 12. Well, as I bring up Revelation 13 and 11, because it says he's going to come down in wrath. It says he spake as a dragon. Right? Salakia. Let's grab it. And I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So the other beast coming out of the earth is America. America represents or replicates Rome, even in this political system, whereas Rome had the two parties, the plebeians, the patricians. America predominantly shows off its two parties. I mean, there's other ones, but what do we hear from? Who is normally elected? Either a Republican or a Democrat. And it says he speaks as a dragon. All right, we always go into this word dragon, going into pretty much fierceness. He's speaking fierceness. All right, and this is how his legislation is moving towards. This is operated by the John Hopkins Center for Gun Violence Solutions and paid for with a Justice Department grant. The center helps state and local governments optimize the use of local red flag laws, which allow for the temporary seizure of firearms from a person who may be a danger to themselves or others. Harris history, and little do you know, anything, Slakia, what's being put in the laws now is anything that doesn't go with the narrative of how they feel a safe citizen is, makes you against, makes you an unsafe citizen. All right? If you believe abortions are wrong, well, you're an unsafe citizen now. If you believe God is the ruler of the universe, well, you're an unsafe citizen now. And this is not something, obviously they're not going to tell you that, but this is the legislation they're bringing down the pipeline. Harris' history as an advocate for gun safety predates her time in the White House. As the first woman to serve as San Francisco's district attorney, she prioritized prosecuting domestic violent cases. There is a 500% increase in deaths when a firearm is present during a domestic violent incident, and 70 women are fatally shot each month in the U.S. in domestic violence incidents. As California Attorney General, Harris championed the state's own red flag law. California became the third state to implement one, and as a U.S. Senator, Harris co-sponsored the Disarm Hate Act to prohibit individuals convicted of violent hate crimes from purchasing and possessing firearms. She also pushed legislation to regulate ghost guns, large capacity magazines, 3D printed guns, and bump stocks, close the boyfriend loophole, and prohibit stalkers from purchasing firearms, and provide protections for survivors of domestic violence and help survivors of gun violence access resources. Throughout her political career, she has called for a reinstatement of the federal assault rifle ban. Right? And mind you, this is all around, I'm not sure exactly when these laws were passed, but this same legislation is Biden-Harris legislation. They're the ones that let these so-called violent criminals come in from these other countries. Right? And to make it clear, crystal clear, we are not with either side, nor do we advocate, for the plans of either side. However, according to the scriptures, we know that this devil is going to come down with great wrath. All right? And as you look at the news and you look at the legislation, you see how. Remember, the scriptures say how he would speak. But you have to look into the details to see what he really what's really his plans. You have the 2030 agenda, King Alfred's plan, all these things you can't forget. We can't forget about. All right, these different scenarios that he runs. I always bring out this guy Joe Biden when he was running. Was it 4 years ago? He kept mentioning something called this is a dark winter. And if you look up that exercise, they pretty much was trying to see how many people would be unalive from a bioterror attack. And lo and behold, what do we see just happen in 2020? So it says 55. Psalms 55 verse 21, the words of his mouth, otherwise you can call it his legislation, were smoother than butter. All right, he gets up there, he tell you, they are 100% for your safety. But again, when you read the details of their legislation, when you see exactly what the F they doing, it doesn't seem like they're 100% for your safety. But war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. All right? And it's up to you, whoever may come across this video, to do your homework. Again, look into the details. All right? Look at the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum. And from what I noticed, when you start looking into these things, not just in the YouTube, but the Rumble, the Brition, InfoWars, what will happen is more things will start popping up in your algorithm towards those topics. Now it says the criticism followed the 2019 mass shooting. Okay, my bad. So this is Trump's stance on it. Speaking to the National Rifle Association in February, former President Donald Trump asserted that no one will lay a finger on your firearms should he win back the presidency. Since then, Trump has routinely vowed to roll back the gun safety measures enacted by the Biden administration as soon as he takes office. But Trump's own presidential record on gun safety has been mixed. While he supported measures to loosen restrictions on hunting on public lands and to classify gun stores, shooting ranges, and weapons manufacturers as essential services during the CV pandemic, he also occasionally faced heat from the NRA. The criticism followed the 2019 mass shooting in El Paso, Texas, when Trump called for the passage of a red flag laws, also known as extreme risk protection orders. The Trump administration had already antagonized the NRA following the 2017 mass shooting at the Route 91 Harvest Festival in Las Vegas, when the Bureau of Alcohol, Firearms, and Tobacco submitted for a rule change that would allow the agency to create a federal rule banning bump stocks, circumventing the need for congressional approval. Trump himself issued an executive memorandum urging the U.S. Attorney General to expedite the rule change. Though it took over a year after the shooting for the administration to actually implement this change. This summer, the Supreme Court's conservative supermajority, including Trump appointees Amy Coney Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh, and Neil Gorsuch, ruled that a federal bump stock ban was unconstitutional. This year, at a campaign rally held just days before the Iowa caucuses, Trump urged victims of a January school shooting in the state to get over it and move forward. A 6th grade child was killed during the shooting, and several others at the school were injured. 1 month later, he told NRA members that he was the best friend gun owner, gun owners have ever had in the White House. So I mean, from the looks of it, it's seeming like Harris is going to win, but we'll see. Maybe Trump will change his tune once he get in there. Because again, He wants to come down upon you having great wrath. You know? And let me say this. You know, the apostles, elders of Great Millstone been telling you to look for, you know, an attack of some sort that's going to shake this place up. This is that was pretty much it. Again, just a few words on you know, the Trump incident, where we can see that heading. All right. Again, anybody with a brain can see that it's about to go down here, man. Second Ezra 15 in the Apocrypha, for those who don't know. The Apocrypha, which the Apocrypha was once a part of the Bible. All right, but for obvious reasons, as far as, you know, history is concerned, this devil had took it out. The Apocrypha bridges the Old Testament and the New Testament. You know, as the Apocrypha tells you of how Israel became Greeks under the Hellenization of the Greeks. So therefore, when you go into the New Testament, it speaks on how the Gentiles, you know, receive glory with the Israelites. This is why. You know, whereas they were not Gentiles per se, but they were Israel that were mixed among the Gentiles. All right, but again, that's just a little history on that. And you could always look it up, the Apocrypha. When you look up the Spartans, when you look up the Feast of Dedication, which the Lord celebrated in John the 10th chapter, that's going to lead you back to the Apocrypha. So this book is definitely canonical, and you can learn a tons from it, you know. But this is 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 5. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. All right, so we already see famine on the rise. We see death on the rise. We see destruction with these various school shootings, you know, earthquakes in diverse places, wars in diverse places. Right? All this is happening, man. For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Salakia. Yeah, but you know what? I'll just end it there. Shalom.